Welcome back into Double A Baseball. Adam Oppenheim with Alex Hynes here on Monday, April 13th. We've played the first couple weeks of baseball. A lot of teams, there's a bit of concern for Alex, some may say. We're going to discuss some of those teams today. There's a handful of teams riding long losing streaks. So let's start with those teams. And I think we have to start in New York with the
Which side?
Mets.
Yeah, it's been bad in both ends of New York, really. But in Queens, it's just not happening, man. I mean, I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is the guys that are supposed to be at least elevating the floor of this team by being stars are not helping the cause here. I mean, Francisco Lindor, I mean, what has happened with him? Because I think if we're going to start with the Mets, we got to start with the concern about Lindor, not just the fact that he's not hitting, but the defensive lapses have been aplenty, and we've not seen that from Lindor really ever in his career. And so it's just shocking that, yes, the Mets are struggling and that happens to teams, but the way things have happened with him weird and Soto hurt, it's just not the way you would have expected the Mets to be struggling, I guess you could say.
Lindor has zero runs batted in. I don't know how that's really possible from where he's sitting in the order, but the Mets really aren't scoring. Their last series against the Athletics, they were shut out two times, and the Athletics don't have a great pitching staff. In game one, it was a combination of five different pitchers, started by JT Ginn. And then in game three, when they were shut out, they faced Aaron Savali, who threw five and two thirds scoreless innings. These aren't pitchers who were really elite. And honestly, for the Mets in their division, it's really tough to get behind. And now you're facing the Dodgers, the best team so far in baseball. And you know that fan base is going to be on you every time you play, especially at home.
Yeah, that's I think the big concern right now is they go into a really weird stretch where the next six games are all on the road, and you have to go to Los Angeles to take on the Dodgers. Then you take on the Cubs at Wrigley. And I mean, yes, the Cubs are another team we're going to talk about struggling, but from a pure talent perspective, you're talking about a team that is expected to be atop their own division. Those are six games that feel way more important now that you've gotten swept by the A's, who again weren't expected to be, amazing. Yes, I think we expected they'd be better than last year, but still, the Diamondbacks take two of three. They are not really all that interesting this year or all that compelling. And so you look back and you think, I mean, look at the teams they've played. I mean, they've the best team they played arguably was the Pirates, maybe, who they took two or
Yeah,
three from, and part of that was O'Neal Cruz forgetting how to play baseball. I mean,
right.
it's not a good look when that's the stretch that is leading you into a 7-9 record.
And for all the concerns about the pitching staff, which there's been a few, I mean, Kodai Senga had a really bad start. I think it was in game two against the A's, where he went two and a third, allowed seven earned runs. It's been the hitting that's let them down. And looking at the rotation, I don't think this is a team that can rely a lot on their rotation, especially going deep into games. Noah McLean, Clay Holmes. I mean, they're fine pitchers, but you're not looking at them being like, that's a top five pitching staff in the NL. On the hitting side, you thought they would be one of the top offenses.
And I think that's what kind of surprises me is a 3.60 ERA for this team is not bad. I mean, Peterson's not been good, Senga's not been good, but McLean, Holmes, and Freddie Peralta have all been as advertised, albeit uh, with Freddie Peralta really the only one who's been he hasn't even gone terribly deep into games, but he's the only guy with a track record of doing so. And again, I mean, they're maybe in good shape that Soto is just should just be an IL stint for just the 10 days or thereabouts. I don't think it's expected to be too long, but that in itself is a major loss, and you're relying on guys now that are just not not performing well enough. I mean, Marcus Simeon is a guy that I think all of us would have been concerned about the bat coming into this year. Bo Bichette hit just his first home run of the year in the last couple of days. Um, Jorge Polanco. I mean, I think you looked at the additions that they made and thought, okay, maybe Luis Robert can benefit from a change of scenery. He has. Bo Bichette still should be good, and to some extent, you could argue that he should still be fine by the
Not
end of the
bad at third
year.
either.
Um, but it's just the fact that this team that was, built around the offense. And remember, David Stearns talked about this was going to be a team that was going to be defensively sound as one of their kind of main sort of mottos coming into the year. And that was why they brought in Simeon, among others, was defensive solidity at second base for a team that's going to have guys out of position. We have not seen that yet. And I think that is what, from what I can tell from the outside looking in, has been arguably the bigger issue for Mets fans than the actual results is the fact that they were pitched this idea for a team, and that is not what is happening for them to struggle.
There's other teams struggling too in the NL. Do you want to go to the Brewers?
Yeah, let's go to the Brewers because getting swept by the Minnesota Twins, the team that I mean, that no one expected to be all that good this year. And I think, I don't know about you, I expected this Brewers team to take a step back. Last year felt like it was a perfect storm of a team that was just finding ways to win. It kind of screamed like guards ball, but NL. You know
Yeah,
what I
no,
mean?
totally.
Except with a better pitching staff this year than the Guardians had in some other seasons, with Peralta on that team last year and whatnot. I don't think that this team has enough to carry that together. And I think we're starting to see now that you're relying on a lot of things that need to go right. And I don't think they are, and I'm not sure how much they will.
Well, and the key to, I'll correct you on this, it was the Nationals who they played in the last series. But Jackson Churio, that injury has hurt them big time because he's like
Oh yeah.
the one big bat you're actually scared of in the lineup. And I know it was cool for the Brewers last year, but you're once again piecing together a lot of players who haven't had great MLB careers or they're just kind of getting started and trying to throw them together. I mean, Christian Yelich was a good hitter, a few years ago. He's still solid, but you're not hitting him a lot of days against lefties, so that's still an issue. Um,
Well, and
William
Yelich is now
Contreras,
going to likely go on the injured list too, is the other
yeah,
thing.
yeah, so that's a big thing. But I just think you're just expecting a little too much out of the pitching staff and some of the Brewers' magic of playing small ball. I mean, David Hamilton starting, that's atrocious. I watched him play with the Red Sox last year. He's not a good player. All he should be there is for being a pinch runner. He's not an everyday player. So I don't know where the Brewers are going to score a ton of runs from because it's not like this team has a ton of power 1 through 9.
And really, again, their home run leader right now is Jake Bauers. And unless he turns into a full season version of last year's Andrew Vaughn, you're not going to get that production full season. Bryce Terang, William Contreras are your two main offensive players until Jackson Churio is back healthy. And there's just not a way that they are going to be able to sustain things, given that they don't really have the ability to bring up anybody with the bat that is going to be able to make an immediate impact. And I
Andrew
think
Vaughn?
I mean, unless yeah, outside of say, oh, well, Andrew Vaughn comes back and puts out, again, that absurd stretch, there's just not anybody immediately that can be a reinforcement the same way that they've been able to patch holes, but with a very deep um, prospect pool of pitching, which they've been able to patch holes with in the last year and into this year, and probably will continue to because they have good pitching depth. The bats are not going to be able to be fixed that easily.
I actually really do like their pitching depth as well, especially along the starter front. Quinn Priester too is out. But I mean, they have a pretty solid, I would say, 1 through 4 in terms of starting rotation. But if you're expecting some of those guys to go 6 scoreless innings, it's probably not going to happen. So with that being
Right.
said, let's move on to another team who's lost 5 in a row. The New York Yankees, who got off to a flying start and then they got swept by the Rays.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Rays are a team that can find ways to win. Again, we know better than to doubt the Rays over the last, what, 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
But again, this Yankees team is not a team that is necessarily being bit by the injury bug, at least with the bats, the same way that some of these other teams are. Again, the Brewers are missing Churio. Uh, Juan Soto is hurt for the Mets. It's not the only reason why those teams have gotten out of the gate slow, but it is certainly something to note. The Yankees, the pitching was already going to have injuries coming into the year, but the bats just, I mean, they've gone extremely cold when you've got Aaron Judge hitting for a 783 OPS. The only guy that really is hitting to a high clip over the entire season, good old Ben Rice.
Which we both expected, by the way. So
Yes.
and you're not even playing him every day. Also, why are you platooning him?
Hey, when you can play a 38-year-old Paul Goldschmidt, you just have to.
Yeah, yeah. Although I guess he did have a clutch home run earlier in the season, but you mentioned, I mean, Max Fried, who has been absolutely awesome this year so far, has been reliable, but they don't have a ton of depth on their pitching staff. We mentioned it at the beginning of the season. Without Carlos Rodon, without Garrett Cole, Clark Schmidt's on the 60-day IL, Tommy John. They don't have a ton, so they're relying on their offense scoring 6 to 7 runs every game, but they just haven't been able to do that. Like Trent Grisham has struggled this year. You're not expecting him to have as great of a season as last year, but they need to be able to put up runs. They're 1 through 9, unlike the Brewers, is actually very good. Still very good.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's where, out of all the teams so far, the Yankees are the team that I think we can expect will still be fine. I mean, Aaron Judge is not going to hit to his 783 OPS by the end of the year. I think that's safe to say. I think overall this team with the bats should do enough, more than enough, really. I mean, they still should be the team to beat in the East, um, especially with the way that the other teams have struggled and
Mm.
have much greater concerns. And again, I think the other nice thing for the Yankees as well is, aside from Max Fried, between Ryan Weathers and Cam Schlittler, none of those three have given up a homer yet this year in at least 3 starts apiece. So you've got guys that are performing well, but also, I mean, they're keeping the ball in the ballpark. They're finding they're finding success from the top end of the rotation that has been decimated with the injuries to, again, Rodon. Garrett Cole's not back yet. They're making do, and that was again the bigger concern coming into the year. And so I feel a lot better about the Yankees going forward than a lot of these other struggling teams, because they're struggling in places where the track records say this should just be a small scuffle that just happens to be a offense wide thing instead of just one player individually.
I will say the Rays are a pretty tough matchup because they play so much of that small ball, and you could see it was in, I think, game 2 of that series. The Rays were down one in the bottom of the 10th or 11th. Simpson bunted for a hit. They bunted for another hit as they try to throw home, and then the Rays end up walking them off. A player like Chandler Simpson is a player that the Yankees never want to see. Just because he, honestly, any team wants to see. Causes so much chaos on the bases and forced a lot of Yankees miscues. The Yankees were still in position to at least grab one game in that series, and they didn't. But the Rays are sort of that sneaky team that is just can hang around. You're not really sure how they do it, but then you watch them play, and they're a little bit like Brewers like, but with a little bit more power.
And that's, there are a couple of those teams where they're just going to find ways to make things difficult on you. I mean, they're, as much as there have been in recent years these sort of pushover teams that are going to just gift you wins essentially. Even we'll talk a bit more about the NL Central as well in a bit, I'm sure. But the Cardinals are a team that we thought were going to be rock
Yeah.
bottom. They've played some solid baseball, and
Jordan
well, again,
Walker.
they're not going to be a team that I expect to be in the mix. They can hold on for the next 2 months, maybe, and by mid-July, you're talking about a team that maybe is, threatening a wild card spot, maybe eventually falls away. But they're going to be a team you don't want to face in July still because they can do exactly what the Rays did, take two, take three away from you as a contending ball club and make things difficult. So yeah, again, we'll see kind of what things hold for the Yankees. They coming up, they play the Angels, the Royals, the Red Sox, the Astros. That's kind of a mixed bag of teams to face. I mean, Kansas City and Boston are maybe the two more intriguing teams because Boston's been quite woeful. The Royals have been good, but not amazing, and so it's a stretch that the Yankees, if they can click, they can certainly take advantage of.
And now we will move on to the team who has the longest losing streak, the Houston Astros, who we actually talked about last show. Wow, they've really surprised us. I think I predicted them to finish fourth. I want to say, and that was a pretty bold prediction, but they've lost a bunch of games in a row. Pena to the IL, Imai to the IL as well. Not looking particularly good for Houston.
And it's really a shame because Yordan Alvarez is playing 16 games of healthy baseball to start the year. He's played every single game for the team, and he's been fantastic. And now you're thinking, man, we finally have our star healthy to start the year. I mean, it's 16 games. He's still got to make it through 10 times that to get through a full season. But the guy that really kind of would make or break your season, it felt like his health is ready. He's there. He's good. He's playing. And six homers from Yordan Alvarez has not been enough for an offense that is actually hit well. Is the thing. The offense has been solid. They've got about an 820 OPS. You've got guys through the lineup hitting, and even Jeremy Pena hasn't really done much. So you're talking about injuries. I mean, okay, sure, but they've been able to get enough. Carlos Correa's started well this season. I mean, that I don't think we necessarily expected he was going to be able to be a guy to lead this team uh, again after the last few years with injuries and just sort of a general step back from great to good.
It's honestly crazy how much has changed in the past 10 days. It looked like the pitching staff was at least holding it together after the series against the Red Sox, and then it's all fallen apart. They're last currently in the league in ERA, 6.49.
Bad.
The Nationals are 29th. What do you think their ERA is?
What'd you say the Astros was?
6.49,
I'm going to say that the Nationals is 5.3.
5.51, pretty close. But that just shows, how bad they've been. Really, the
Yeah.
past 10 days. It's incredible because
And
I'm not sure who they played.
it's,
They played the Angels. They did give up a bunch of runs, but then they give up seven in 3 games to the Red Sox. And then you give up 12 and 10, 12 and 11 to the Athletics, 9 to the Rockies, twice, 9, 8, and 6 to the Mariners.
and you're talking about the Astros having the second best OPS in baseball behind the Dodgers. Like you should be putting up enough runs that you could win those kinds of 9 to 8 ball games and just say, oh well, who cares about pitching anyway, and find ways to win. They're not. It's hard to win games when you're allowing 12 runs a game or 8 runs a game, and that's just not a sustainable model, certainly. And you
Hunter
know,
Brown doesn't help. I mean, he only started twice.
and
And
he's
not
hurt.
only are you not getting, obviously him starting, every 5 days, but it's taxing on the bullpen when you're throwing out pitchers who are going 5 innings, really, or less. Like
Yeah, and
that
that's
hurts you down like every single series.
and I think again that injury to Brown, a grade 2 shoulder strain, means he's going to be completely shut down for a couple weeks. And that usually means if you're down for a couple weeks, you're going to have to do basically a full revamp to get back ready. I mean, you're talking about a month and a half, probably. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that kind of sounds like what it would be at the very least, given that, if you're done 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to take another probably 2 to 3 weeks
Yeah.
to get throwing. I mean, that's a long time to be losing your ace when the rest of the rotation isn't performing. Imai is on the IL. He's struggled, and you're relying on Lance McCullers, who's coming off of injury. And I mean, at that point, I think Lance McCullers was supposed to just be a bonus to this rotation, not a guy you're relying upon to get you the innings. Uh, and it's him and Mike Burrows at this point.
And in that division, the Mariners struggle to start off with. You think they're going to get better. Um,
And you just gave them 3 wins, with
and
the chance at another tonight.
right. And the Angels have been playing decent enough baseball. I mean, you know, good fighting team too, some would say. The Rangers are hanging in there. The A's, they got off to tied for the worst start in baseball, and suddenly they're over 500. So you look at it when Hunter Brown comes back. If you're in the cellar by 5 games, your season could already be over.
Yeah. And again, I mean, beyond even just the starting pitching, there hasn't been enough in the back end of this bullpen to take advantage of issues. Again, Imai exited that first game against the Mariners. The bullpen gave up 6 runs. They gave up a 5 run inning yesterday, or not yesterday, the day before, and ended up getting walked off in the bottom of the ninth in Seattle because, again, you get you struggle to have McCullers get through 5 innings, and he's the one that gives
Right.
up all the bulk runs. Then you have to tax the bullpen more. They end up using 5 total guys out of the bullpen. You're asking a lot now because of the way the pitching is gone. And again, if there's a team that I'm concerned about the depth of, I'm concerned about the depth for the Astros because who's slotting into that rotation now? If you don't have Javier, you don't have EMI, you don't have uh, Hunter Brown. I mean, just trying to go through their 40-man roster and like there, it's not like you can say, oh, there's a guy here that's
Spencer
he's
Arrighetti,
ready.
he
It's
pitched a little
basically going
bit.
to have to be him or Jason Alexander is going to be the other guy with some major league
Oh yeah,
experience. That's it.
forgot
That's
about
really
him.
it. I
Yeah,
mean, unless they bring JP France back into the rotation, he gave up 4 runs against Seattle.
yeah,
It's
they're in
it
a tough
just
spot.
disaster mode.
It really is, considering how good their offense is. The fact that they can't even get wins when their offense is scoring 7 runs, that's a little concerning.
So I think then before since we're about halfway through kind of the teams we wanted to talk about, looking back at these first 4 teams, scaled 1 to 10, concern rating. 10 being, you know, fire alarms going off, call the fire department, we're in trouble. 1 being everything's fine and chill, don't worry about it.
Well,
Those 4 teams, where are you at?
I think my highest would certainly be the Astros. I think they would be at an 8 or 9. You're practically the best offensive team in the league in multiple categories, and you can't win baseball games. That's a problem. Jordan Alvarez might be the AL MVP frontrunner this season. It's bad. It's really
Yeah,
bad in Houston. I'm sure you agree with me on that.
I'm I'm at I'm at an 8 solely because I think, if the offense can still be good, there's like that's that extra 2. The pitching staff is I concern. And I'm going to go 9 because I just given the division that you mentioned,
Right.
they're not one of the teams favored to win this division. You can't afford that much to give.
And then I think my second most concerned team would probably be the Mets. I just it was between them and the Brewers, and I think the Brewers have Churio back. I still like their brand of baseball. For the Mets, they could totally have a bad season. I could see it happening, and they have the expectations of they really haven't done anything the past couple of years. So there's a lot of pressure on them to do well. Obviously, without Juan Soto now, but they spent a lot on the team. A lot, a lot. And I'm just not confident enough in the rotation right now. The bats haven't been great. You're feeling it from the fans. And that's a team that I don't think could dig themselves out of a deep hole in that division. Unlike the Yankees, which I would have at probably a 2, I'm going to put the Mets at probably a 6.5.
I think that's fair. I'm gonna say I'm a bit more concerned about the Brewers, just because I was lower on the Brewers to start the season, and so this makes it more concerning. I'm gonna put them I'll put them at the 6.5, just because I think again the division's wide open. Um, I don't think I could go 7 because I think again that division is wide open. We're going to talk about the Cubs, who the other team that was favored to win that division. Um, the Mets, I'm going to go 5.
I was going to
I
go
think
5 for Milwaukee.
I
Go
can
ahead.
kind of go either way. Again, I think the fact that the offense is the problem, not the pitching staff, gives me a little bit of hope that guys with guys that should be better than they are will be better. I don't think Lindor is going to have a bad season by the end of the year. I don't think Juan Soto is going to be injured forever. Those are things that I think they can recover from, but the division concerns me. And again, Yankees, I'm also at a 2. They've got pitching reinforcements coming, and the rest of the pitching that's been there has always already been good. You've got Aaron Judge on your team. That usually is going to save you a lot of problems. And this is still a much better cast around him than 3 years ago, when we were talking about Aaron Judge, or 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when you're talking about Aaron Judge and who? Or, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and who? They finally have a group that I think can at least do stuff with the bat eventually.
Totally agree with you. So we got 3 teams remaining, 1 team in the NL, 2 in the AL. So let's go to the team in the NL, the Chicago Cubs.
Well, not quite the start they would have liked. They almost got swept at home, something that is rare. They hadn't gotten swept since the middle of last year in general, and it's been a long time since they got swept at Wrigley, by the Pirates of all teams. And so that was obviously a bit concerning because guess who wasn't pitching? There was no Paul Skeens. There was no Bubba Chandler, I don't believe. Um, it
No,
was Majinski. Maybe Chandler did pitch. Majinski pitched, I recall.
yeah, Bubba Chandler
Um,
definitely
you
pitched.
missed Paul Skeens is the big thing. And so, at that point, then you've got to be able to perform a little bit better than that. You know what I mean? I think that is the bigger of the concerns. Yes, Chandler did pitch
Yesterday.
yesterday's game,
Yeah.
but again, you face Majinski, who strikes out. I think he struck out 9 in like 4 innings. And then Braxton Ashcraft. I mean, no, it was Ashcraft who had the 9 strikeouts in 5 innings. Again, it's not been great offensively for the Cubs. Let's start with the offense because that has been,
Right.
I mean, bad. Is there a better term than bad?
Yeah. No, they totally. I mean, the game on Friday exemplifies that. I mean, Shota was terrific. 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, no hits allowed. You end up losing the game. Uh, you had chances to score. It's not like they haven't had chances, but they've struggled with runners in scoring position. Michael Bush, who had a big hit yesterday, has been off to a really rocky start. I expect things to smooth out with him just because I saw him perform in the postseason at a ridiculously high level, so I'm not worried about him. Bregman, there's starting to be struggles going into his 30s now for a bit. Wasn't great last year with the Red Sox, and now you're paying him a ton of money for the Cubs to be a big thumper in the middle of the lineup. Haven't seen that. Ian Happ's always so off and on. Suzuki coming back from injury isn't a whole lot to take from him. PCA got extended, but the strikeout numbers are obviously still a concern. There is concerns throughout the Cubs lineup, even if you think they're one of the best teams in the NL coming in, and they've shown it so far in the past couple of weeks that they
I'm
just haven't
less
been
concerned about I'm less
been able
concerned
to
about the
deliver.
bats though.
What'd you say?
I'm less concerned about the bats though, if you ask me. I mean, again,
And
I
to start
think
off the season, the funny thing is the hitting is what's been the problem. I would say.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I agree with you. And that's the thing. It's like the bats have been concerning. And the thing is, the Cubs have done that a lot in the last couple of years. Obviously, last year was the second half. I feel like usually for the Cubs, it's been like September, but also this early stretch. A big part of it also is just playing at Wrigley and in April. I mean, chilly weather, the wind's been blowing in. That's not necessarily an excuse, but a fact that you have to then understand you need to win situational ball games because you're going to be playing games that are 4-3, 3-2, 2-1, and they've not been able to win many games like that this year. Um, but the pitching is where my concern comes in
Yeah,
because Cade
Cade.
Horton was going to be your.
Yep.
I think if you said Cade Horton was going to have the best ERA on the team, I would have said, yeah, that's probably about what's going to happen. Now he's out for the year. We don't know what kind of surgery it is, but it's done for the year at the very least. Boyd's on the injured list. He's struggled despite having decent strikeout stuff. And so now you're relying on Edward Cabrera basically as your main arm. Jameson Tyone got rocked by Brandon Lau yesterday. And then the rest of that rotation, you're requiring guys to fill in. Javier Assad. Is Ben Brown going to pitch? Oh, gosh. Colin Ray. The depth there is concerning because you look in their minor league system. Jackson Wiggins is their top pitching prospect, but he is still trying. They're still trying to get him innings at AAA. I don't think they want to bring him up by necessity. They'd rather
No.
him come up on his own terms. And
Yeah.
and so now you're really put in a tough spot because there's no guarantee that any of these injuries are short-term injuries. Obviously, it is long-term for Horton. Who knows for Boyd? Steele's not back yet, and so it's Shota, um, Ion, and Cabrera, and then who?
Yeah. They're in a really tough spot too, because you look at the bullpen last year. The bullpen for the Cubs was unhittable for the first half of last season. So if you're expecting, I think Drew Pomeranz, I don't know how many innings he went without allowing an earned run. That was unbelievable. Like Caleb Thielbar was super hard to hit. He had a big error in this series that allowed the Pirates to score in the top of extras, or maybe the top of the ninth. I don't remember. I think it was the top of the 10th, though. It's hard to get consistent reliever ERAs year to year, especially guys who don't throw with a ton of velocity. Because the spin guys, people, watch some tape on them in the offseason, especially the guys who are in the division, and learn how to hit those guys a little bit better.
And I think part of this for the Cubs as well, I mean, you can see it in the stats as well. They're middle of the pack in strikeout rate for their bullpen. They're in the top five in homers allowed as a bullpen. So they've not actually had the worst results, but the process is sort of saying that, hey, I'm not sure how you could trust that bridge to Daniel Palencia right now when Hunter Harvey just hit the IL, another guy that was supposed to be back end arm, and he was one of the few guys that had that velocity. Whereas now you're relying on Phil Maton, Hobie Milner, and a couple of other guys that don't have that velo to transition to Palencia, who has been nails so far as the closer.
I mean, I'll say Edward Cabrera. I mean, he's looked good throughout the first few starts, especially those first two. But, you bump up a guy a couple rotation spots, and suddenly you're looking at them like they need to give you six quality innings every time, and that changes the expectations a bit. The Cade injury, the biggest injury news I would say so far in the league this season.
And again, on Cabrera, he's the guy that you're careful about because he has an injury history as well. And so he's not the guy you can maybe be as confident in going deep into games. And Imanaga has been fine so far, but you get a little bit worried when you get into the warmer weathers, whether the home run ball is going to start to bite him again as it did last year, or
Right.
whether he's going to be able to maintain it. And again, Jameson Taillon, solid middle rotation arm, but he is now being relied upon a lot more now that the back end of the rotation is essentially just a pick me of, guys from their bullpen and sort of quad A.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Cubs are in a really tough spot, but I wouldn't say I'm concerned a ton, but I am concerned if they make the playoffs, how that's gonna go.
That's
Truly.
fair. I'm at a 6 because it's not end of the world. The
Oh,
bats are
yeah.
going to be better, but I'm worried about the long term impact of this team rather than the short term. I think the bats will be fine. I think that they could easily turn things around and become, a team that's well over 500 in the next month. I'm just concerned that when you get into August, guys are either going to be overtaxed, you're not going to have arms healthy, or really, I think you'd be worried about who is available for this team getting down into the final stretch. So that's why I'm a bit more concerned, more so than I am about the present results.
You're certainly going to need a lot more from the Cubs bats, at least right now. Now we're going to talk about our final two teams, both in the AL East. Let's start with the Blue Jays.
Remember when they walked it off to start out the season against the A's? And I mean, the A's were striking out every other AB, and it's like, okay, the Jays are back. The Jays may not be back, folks. It's not been a good run to be at 6-9, and my goodness, that pitching staff is dropping like flies.
It's tough. It's tough at the top of the rotation. Dylan Cease was the big acquisition.
And he's been good.
Still have Kevin Gosman, but you've also lost bats too. But I mean, Barrios, Shane Bieber, who I guess I'm a giant fan of now, based on last season, talking about how he's gonna be so good. He was all right.
Brutal.
Um, Trey is savage. That's the big one.
I mean, he was hurt before the season, and I think we also, I think actually we probably should. Those expectations should have been tempered from the get-go anyway, just because he'd only thrown so many innings, um, at the big league level before the postseason, and that's a different
Right,
animal. But
but when you pitch great in the postseason, the next regular season, those expectations are high.
yeah, but you could also ask Brandon Pfaadt how that worked out for him. So, again, that's why I'm just saying, let's not expect him to be a sub 3 ERA guy, or, the sub 3.5. But a 5.20 team ERA, not good. I'll tell you that. That's for a fact. And again, it's just the biggest concern for me is, again, you've got two horses at the top, but Cody Ponce done for the year. I can't remember if that was Achilles or ACL. It was ACL. He's
Oh,
out
that
for the
was
year.
so unfortunate how that happened.
Yeah, that's it's unfortunate as well for a guy who was pitching in the KBO, or was it MPB? He was pitching overseas, comes back.
KBO.
It was in the KBO. That's what I thought. It comes back and you're like, okay, yeah, this is great. A return for a guy who struggled at the big league level, refines himself, comes back, and it's over in 2 innings. But again, Barrios hurt, Bowden Francis, Tommy John, Shane Bieber, you mentioned, you Savage. That's a full staff right there. That's a 5-man rotation that's on the IL. And now it goes from Kevin Gosman, Dylan Cease to Max Scherzer at 41 years old, Eric Lauer, who was in the bullpen,
And
and
Patrick.
Patrick Corbin.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I was getting to Patrick Corbin because that is, if there is a sign of waving the white flag, it is signing Patrick Corbin. Let's be honest. I mean, he has been the human white flag for the last 3 or 4 years at least, over in Washington,
Huh.
and it's yeah, no, it's just not a good sign when he's pitching for your ball club. And surprisingly, he probably pitched the best in the last weekend out of anybody on that pitching staff. So that tells you kind of where things are.
Yeah, the past 5 seasons, I think he probably would have the most losses in the majors.
Tell you what, you
16
keep
loss,
talking and I'll figure it out.
19, 15, 13, 11. It feels like it would be him. So I am going to continue talking about the Blue Jays. The injury to Springer, that hurt them big time. Santander, he's really injured now. Always injured.
Yeah.
Addison Barger. There was a lot of players, Alejandro Kirk, that were on the team last year that have hit well and are either injured or not doing as well this season. Um, I mean, Nathan Lucas was their leadoff hitter. I don't know if he still is against. Um, no, he definitely still isn't against righties. But guys stepping up into a bigger spotlight. Ernie Clement, who had an excellent postseason hitting leadoff. Dalton Varsho knows a better defender than he is hitter. You still have Vlad at the top of the lineup, but no Bichette, obviously. And then you're just trying to fill in holes with unknowns on the hitting side, which I'm not going to say their hitting has been bad this season, but I mean it hasn't been great. It's really the main problem is going to be the pitching staff.
I want to
For
play.
um,
I want to go back to the pitching staff for you because I want to play a quick game. There are five players since 2021. I just chose that because it's the first post-pandemic season. We can get full seasons here. Since 2021, there are five players who have a five or higher ERA and thrown at least 500 total innings. So guys that have played at least essentially three full seasons worth in the last, what, 5 years? So five guys with an ERA over five. I'm curious, how many of them can you name in that time?
so I'm guessing Corbin's one of them.
Corbin is number one, a 5.49 ERA.
I
You
knew
can
it.
by the way, you can put the qualifier anywhere you want. I did 600 innings, I did 300 innings. It is still the worst. It doesn't matter where you put the bar. It's just that bad.
That's unbelievable. How hard are these other pitchers to guess?
They are pretty notably bad players. I say bad guys. No,
It's
they're
like
probably fine
it's
individuals,
like
but they're bad
Michaelis on the
pitchers.
list or something.
I wish
How
he's 11th, but I would have
Miles?
guessed him as well.
My God.
You are on the right track in
Is
some
it
regard with him.
Cardinals pitcher?
No, think of where he's at now.
Nash? Is he with the Nationals now?
He is with the Nationals. But one of them, you are not going to know where he is now. I guarantee because I only found out who he's playing
Was
for last night.
Freeland on there? Kyle Freeland?
It's not Kyle Freeland.
I don't know. That was just has he been sorry if I'm just offending all these people, but
Kyle Freeland was
Kyle
eighth.
Freeland hasn't been great though.
He was
That's
eighth.
not a bad guess actually.
Though that is a good guess, but it's not in the top five.
Senzatella is the only other guy I could think of. Uh,
Um, I'm trying to see. Senzatella is not on the first page of results on
I
Fangraphs.
don't think he's played that many years.
500 innings for Antonio Senzatella is a bit of an ask.
Yeah. I can't even think who was on the Rockies pitching staff last season. Came in.
All right. I can
I
give you a
swear
hint.
Freeland would be one of them. Damn. How's that not right? Are you serious? I'm looking at this guy's stats.
It's literally the other two guys is the funniest thing about this.
The other two guys.
There are only four. You should know there are only four Rockies pitchers in the last 10 years.
There's some bad. This is taking a long time now. I mean, like Cal Quantrill.
Yeah,
I don't know.
no, not Cal Quantrill.
Was he on the
He he's in the top 20 actually. He had a 4.32 ERA in that time.
Ah, that's another not a bad guess. These are not bad guesses, but
Yeah.
I can't think of who else was in the Rockies rotation. All right. Who was there was like a few prospects in the trade with Arenado,
He was the only major
and
leaguer
and
in that
there
trade.
was one pitcher.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm gonna be able to think of this pitcher's name, if I'm being honest.
You pulling the plug on it?
Now let me see if I can try to find out my own before you tell me. Well, actually, now it's easy because he told me he was in the, oh, Austin Comber.
It is Austin Gomber.
I
Number
was
two,
not
number
getting.
three on the list.
I was
Innings.
not. I was not getting that.
Okay, number three on the list. Innings eater. Three different teams, including Texas and Kansas City.
Oh, what's his name? You used to talk about this guy all the time.
I do, so I know you're on the right path.
Fuck.
Why did I talk about this guy all the time? I don't know. Come on, man. I
I'll get
gotta
this
love an
one.
innings eater.
I'll get this one eventually.
All
This
right, do you
this
want?
one we're gonna get. Come on, here we go. What's his name? Jordan Lyles. There we go. All
Yes, correct.
right,
Number four on the list, currently a Padre, which I found out like yesterday, but he was a Colorado Rockies since 2016, was their ace essentially for like several years, a one-time All-Star, opening day starter, the works.
I can like picture a guy, but I'm not sure his name. He's like a little bit bigger, I would say, like on the chubby side.
Oh, sure, I guess.
Oh, I don't know if that's maybe I just I picture
I
a guy.
mean,
His last name is like some Dominican or something name. I'm not gonna get
eh,
it, but
he's from Venezuela.
uh, I'm not gonna. I'm not.
Okay,
It's some common name, isn't it?
it is. It is. His
All right,
first
who is
name
it?
is a country, but not pronounced like it.
His name is it? Oh, Marquez.
Yes, Herman
Ron,
Marquez.
Ron.
I'll
I
just
was
I'll
that
give you I'll
was
give you
actually a
the
great hint
last
right
one.
there.
I'll give you the last one. Last one is Jake Irvin, who was the opening day start or not opening day start. He was the number two on
Nationals.
the Nationals. Yeah. So those are the guys.
Hmm.
A long way to say those are the guys with a five ERA and 500 innings since 2021. By the way, if you lower the qualifying innings to I don't know, let's say what's the lowest it has to be for it to still be Patrick Corbin? Uh, 300 innings no, about 400 innings. But the thing is, 800 innings pitched by Patrick Corbin in that time. Um, and in case you were wondering, you said he had the most losses probably in that time. He's got 15 more losses than second most,
Wow.
74. Sorry, that was a big digression, but I think it's fun to talk about Patrick Corbin being bad at baseball. So
Wow. It's just Rockies and Nationals, eh?
yeah,
Yeah, no,
basically,
I mean, I'm not even gonna be mad at myself for some of. Oh, he was the opening day starter for the Rockies. Come on,
yeah.
that's
Herman
insane.
Marquez, come on now. It was him and John Gray for like a decade,
I mean,
and
John
Kyle
Gray's a
Freeland.
little bit more notable though.
Fair enough.
I
But
think so.
was he a one-time All-Star? Come
Got me
on.
there. Got me there.
Actually, I know he wasn't.
All right. Last team we want to talk about the Red Sox, and then we'll do AA plus and oh no. What do you think about the Sox, the Red Sox?
Uh, I mean, is there a hitting version of Patrick Corbin? Because they may need it. Um, it's not looking great, certainly. I mean, it's kind of following a very similar trend to to the last couple years, where you just kind of look at the offense and think, why? There's several players that should be performing well, and the guys that are like fringy are just not playing average, they're playing bad. And that I feel like has been the trend for the Red Sox the last few years, where On paper, they've got a lot of players that should be fine players with the bat, but they are not fine. They're not below average. They're atrocious.
The bats have been an issue, and they were kind of brought back to life by their pitching staff, Crochet, Sonny Gray, and Ranger Suarez all having a really solid start. But you lose a couple of big bats in your lineup. You go from Devers to Bregman to Durbin at third, and Caleb Durbin's been one of the worst hitters in the league. Trevor Story's in that
Do
bunch
you want
of
to
the.
play another quick piece of trivia?
Yeah, sure. If it's
There are,
actually quick.
well, I'll give it to you quicker. There are five players with a WRC plus under 10 right now.
Yeah.
Caleb Durbin is one of them at seven. I'll give you three guesses who else is on the list. Otherwise, I'll just tell you.
Trevor Story. Is he one of them?
He is not. There is not another Red Sox in the top five. Story is 10,
Um,
though. He is bad.
let's see. We'll go. Nick Kurtz hasn't been that good. Nick Kurtz.
No, no, not him.
Who else has been really, really bad? Michael Bush.
Not Michael Bush, because he did have a couple of hits early in the season that saved him.
All right, who are the other ones?
Number five is Nolan Arenado, seven WRC
Oh,
plus.
yeah, forgot.
Caleb Durbin has a WRC plus of one. Uh, Josh Naylor, negative five. Harrison Bader, negative
I
six.
was never gonna guess him.
And a whopping negative 26 WRC plus, Ozuna from the Pirates.
Oh, I forgot about.
Marcell Ozuna, who is walking 10% of the time, but he cannot hit the ball. It's bad. It's really hilarious. It's
Forgot about
amazing.
Asuna.
But
Yeah,
yes, to your point, there are some really bad hitters in baseball right now, and the Red Sox have two of them.
it's tough. I mean, Wilson Contreras. Wasn't a giant fan of the trade to the Cardinals getting him, but he's been really good this year. But you just need another bat at the middle, in the middle of the order. I think they really just put way too much on Roman Anthony. I mean, it was insane what they were asking him to do, and he
Right.
struggled a little bit to begin this year.
And I think the other thing, funny enough, I mean, you obviously Alex Bregman has struggled for the Cubs as well, but even if you had Alex Bregman playing as he did for the entirety of last year, that kind of level of production, like for as much as has been made about, them not having them trading Devers and then not re-signing Bregman, which is certainly a fatal flaw that for this front office. That's not changing the offense in this
Yeah.
at this stage right now. I think, that is not making things better when you're still relying again on 22-year-old Roman Anthony. Cedar Rafaela again is more of a defensive guy, an elite center fielder, but he's 25. Willie Abreu's 27. Caleb Durbin's 26. Marcelo Myers at second, he's 23. That's a lot of young guys you're relying upon to then have Wilson Contreras basically be your only other quality hitter. Um, as a veteran, and everyone else is kind of just not playing well. So that
Yeah.
could the overall construction is concerning, which has been the trend of this episode.
Yeah, surprisingly, I think they are the most poorly constructed team out of all the teams we've talked about because we know they had an outfield issue, and then you have Masataka Yoshida, so you have like five outfielders for three spots.
And one of
It,
them can't play the outfield, and you
like it
don't
doesn't
really
make
want
sense
Jaron Duran either.
why they didn't trade Duran. It just like I don't know and then you sign like IKF for 6 million. IKF everyone knows is horrible. He really is. Did anyone think he was going to be good? No.
I wouldn't have said that personally.
But
Well,
the
and I
the
think the other thing as well, because you talk about construction, is like there are plenty of teams that were constructed well and are struggling. I think most of the teams we discussed are like that. Um, in on the whole, I think you could argue the other team that is the poorest constructed outside of perhaps the depth of the Blue Jays, but they've certainly tried. They've brought in guys with a lot of money and things have just not panned out in a lot of places. Would be the Brewers, but the Brewers are operating on a lower payroll constriction.
Yeah, the Red Sox
And
might be
they've
top
and they've
five.
been a team that can always bring in young guys from below. Caleb Turpin was one of those guys. They traded away, guys like Isaac Collins. They had a bunch of young guys who can do the job. And Jackson Churio is their young superstar who is only 23, I think, but he's played 3 years in the bigs. Roman Anthony has played 299 plate appearances coming into the year, and you're now asking him to be the only guy outside of maybe Wilson Contreras in the meat of that lineup. And when you have a team that made the playoffs last year, has a pitching staff that honestly I still think will be good, you got to supplement it well enough. And there was no sign that they did enough with the lineup to supplement that pitching staff, which, again, you've got Crochet, who's got to be one of the players expected to be a Cy Young finalist.
Yep.
Sonny Gray, Ranger Suarez, and Brian Bayo, two of those guys have struggled, but still, that's a rotation that you can say, yeah, that can probably take us to the playoffs. Maybe not to the World Series, but it could take us to a playoff berth.
Yeah, and Connolly early pitched in that wild card game against the Yankees. So you have four pitchers who you feel confident about in the postseason. The problem is, this is what I discussed about in the MLB preview. It's like you have to get there though. And getting there in the regular season takes hitting. And you're looking at a team who has the highest percentage of swings outside the zone and the lowest inside the zone. Now that's a problem when it comes to hitting. Because that just means you're chasing everything. And that's what it
Yeah.
looks like when you watch the Red Sox play. That being said, not super concerned, but I think they need to make a move at the deadline for a bat if they actually
What's your
want to compete.
number? What's your number out of 10? Jays and Red Sox.
Hmm. I guess the Jays, I feel like I'm a little more concerned about them just because I don't believe in their starting pitching depth as much, at least now with the
Yeah.
injuries. So I'll put the Jays at a 5. I'll put the Red Sox at a 4. If you asked me last week, though, I'll put the Red Sox at like a 7 or 8. It was looking bad.
I'm going to go Red Sox at a 5 because I do think, again, some of these numbers are too bad to be true in
Yeah.
some cases. And so I do think there will be something. The Jays, I'm at like a 7, I think. Yeah, I haven't bought in. I'm not fully bought into the lineup without many changes from last year. George Springer's just got put on the shelf as well, so that's another bat that's hurt. Kirk obviously had the injury with the thumb as well, so beyond the pitching concerns, the bats are starting to grow thin. And again, in that division, I'd be concerned. I have a little extra concern for both of these teams because of the East, and because even with the concerns about the Yankees,
Yeah.
they're a team
Sure.
that I think is still in best position to win.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to our last segment. AA plus and oh no. Alex, you ready
Well,
to go
let's
first?
let's start with the good as opposed to the bad. So let's start with our AA plus, and we'll start with pitchers being athletes. Daniel Lynch, the fourth of the Royals, pitching against one of those teams, the Brewers, a roller up the first baseline. He fumbles it, shuffles it around, and from his stomach throws the glove up, taps the leg of the runner, Christian Yelich, on the line, and makes the play. Has no chance to flip it and does it all himself. The good old one assisted, everybody's favorite put out. PFPs. Number two, when you drop something and you just kind of throw your arm at it and then you end up flicking it across the room and looking like an idiot? Well, Cody Bellinger did that, except he's an athlete and you're not. And so he will catch the baseball. A fly ball was hit. He tries to catch it. It bounces off the palm of his glove. And as he falls to his knees, throws that glove back, catches it in his right glove hand, and ends up sliding on the warning track, mind you. He had a ways to go to make the play. That is just some athletic level of hand-eye coordination to make the play. But number one has got to be an Angels outfielder making a fantastic play. Because you always think about Mike Trout back in like 2014 in Baltimore making that catch soaring over the wall. How about a different Angels outfielder? Joe Adele against the Mariners. This is probably the game of the year individually. Cal Raleigh hits the ball deep into right. Adele leaps, makes the catch, Rob the homer. Fantastic. That's amazing for Joe Adele. But he does it again. Another fly ball into right off the bat of Josh Naylor. He leaps, same spot, same result. It's not a replay, it's the same play made twice. And so that in itself is fantastic. This is like angels in the outfield level of just drama for a guy who has had so many struggles in his young career. But then he does it one more time in the ninth. Crawford hits one into the right field corner. Adele, long way to go, over the short wall, makes the catch, tumbles over, holds the glove aloft, says that's Joe J.O. Print it right in the papers, put it on the front page. Three home run robberies, one game in a 1-0 final. If he doesn't make one of those three catches, it's at least a tie ball game, and the Angels may lose that game. That is the best defensive performance I think I've ever seen. So shout out Joe Adele. One, two, three times number one.
That was so sick. The fact that was in a 1-0 game, that was special, man.
it's
Special. Unbelievable. I just can't believe
it's
that
absurd.
the odds of that happening, like having three chances in 1-0 game, all of them being important, one happening in the ninth, like how? How does that happen?
And for it to be Joe Adele, a guy who's had so many struggles in his career, especially with the glove, the
Yeah,
concerns about his glove coming up
yeah,
as a center fielder.
yeah. Super sweet. Well, well, now let's move to our oh no top three worst plays of the week. Maybe worst television networks. Starting at number three with Nesson. Wilson Contreras back in St. Louis facing his former team. Hits a fly ball to deep center field. Victor Scott going back. Did he make the catch? You can't even see. It's a home run. Wilson Contreras a home run back in St. Louis. As we move on to number two, Kyle Bradish. Pitch to Colson Montgomery. It's inside ball four. He gets the ball back. Doesn't make the catch. He's pissed at himself. And then Mindroth comes sliding home. Steals home because Kyle Bradish wasn't even paying attention. And lastly, at number one, this is an all-timer. Hit so high, we can see the moon. Comes and the Rays. Matt Shaw, foul territory. I'll just let the video play. And couldn't quite make the catch. That is our oh no number one play of the week.
That's a new one. That's a new one.
I think I'm gonna have to do some work in post editing too, just to make sure we don't get any strikes on our channel. But man, three super funny plays this week. I think this is our one of our best weeks combined of AA plus and oh no.
The funny thing is, at least for my three best of the week, they all came in a 1 week span, actually. So yeah, it's not even as though it's taken the 2 weeks. This is just a week of fantastic baseball. And I mean, you thought the Cody Bellinger play wasn't going to be topped for a while. Kind of like remember the Jung-Hoo Lee catch between the knees
Oh,
last
that was
year?
unreal.
That's kind of the flashbacks I get with Cody Bellinger, where it's
Yeah.
so problematic in the outfield to misplay a ball that ends up becoming a great play. And then obviously Joe Adele. Is that the number one AA plus of the year? Do you think it will be?
Ooh, we should rank them at the end of the year. That'd be great. Our top three. Yeah.
And
D-
I'm gonna say right now, I think that's gonna be top three for the whole year, if not number one.
I would agree. I mean, it's really hard to beat. Like, would you take that or like the Denzel Clark catch from last year?
Oh, that's tough. That's tough because the Denzel Clark play was better than any of the ones Joe Adele did, but Joe Adele doing three in one game
In a 1-0 game.
in a 1-0 game, the story I think is even more compelling. So it's going to be tough. So I ask outfielders everywhere, don't make it that hard on us. Just make one nice catch,
There
you'll
you
get
go.
on, and just that way we don't have to fight over things in October.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Man, really, really fun stuff there at the end. But that is going to wrap up a long episode of Double A Baseball where you find out I'm not very good at trivia, including Rockies pitchers and Nationals pitchers. And of course, a great moon landing as well in
If
the
you got
past
all
week.
five of those pitchers right, let us know,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, yeah. If anyone gets that within a 10-minute span, Alex, I know you would. You're a psycho. All right. That's it here on Double A Baseball. For my partner, Alex Hynes, I'm Adam Oppenheim. We'll see you next time on Double A Baseball.